Today we are finally getting into how to make the perfect sea moss gel. Perfect. And I'm going to have two variations. One is going to be thick, one is going to be thin, and you can choose whichever texture you like. I prefer it to be a little bit thicker because I usually just take a couple tablespoons a day. Most people don't like it that way, so they have to infuse it in a smoothie, or maybe they infuse it in a juice, or they mix it with lemon and lime. So what you see going on here is I now let my sea moss soak overnight. So I made a lot. The one bag that we sell should be able to last you for a little over a month, which is an excellent deal for the price. So I allowed it to soak overnight in about 3 key limes. You could do limes or lemons. I prefer the key limes. And then once it soaks for over 24 hours, you're going to rinse it off. And now you see here, I have a filter that is attached to my sink. This is not tap water. I rinse it off with my filter water. But if you don't have a filter like this, even if you have a pitch of a Brita filter or just something so that you're not getting any of the toxic heavy metals from the tap water back onto this nutritious product. So now you see that the water is going to fill up, and I'm going to rinse it off about 2 to 3 times just to get the taste of the sea off of the sea moss. And remember, this is just one variation of sea moss. There's a variety, but it's unfortunate because the one that is fake, the one that is farm raised, the one that has swept the nation is the one that most people feel is the real one, and it's not. That one is usually comes already wet looking, it has salt on it, and it's not natural sea moss, it's farm raised. This one has been picked from the ocean of Jamaica by the amazing divers that we have in the Hanover area and several other areas in Jamaica. So this is the final rinse right here. Just going to continue rinsing it off.
Don't forget it, okay? I need my credit. Yeah, I made a couple moves. They never gave me the credit. House looking like a museum. I guess someone gave me the credit. My neck is sick, I need a vaccine. Hottest nigga with no hits out. What I'm trying to do is stretch him out. All I hear is vowels, she sound him out.
Irish moss, aka Conjus crispus, is an amazing seaweed that is extremely nutritious to the body. And one of the main reasons that it is nutritious is because of the carrageenan that's available from the Conjus crispus, which literally means curly cartilage. The carrageenans of Irish moss has the ability to inactivate viruses in the body. What do I mean by inactivate? It can block a virus from binding to your cell. Literally, block a virus from binding to your cell. That is how amazing this is. It is also a demulcent, which means it can relieve you of inflammation, of irritation, especially around the gastrointestinal tract. If you have issues with ulcer, acid reflux, or even if you just feel discomfort, a lot of discomfort, Irish sea moss is something that you can take every single day with no issues. Back to the video now. So now I'm going to make the gel extremely thick. I'm pretty much filling up my blender because I'm going to make it very, very, very thick. And then I am going to add water. Now, if you want it to be a little thinner, you're going to add not halfway to the blender. You're going to do a little bit more than half. But because a lot of people are new to sea moss, it is better to put less water and add as you go along instead of more water, because then you won't be able to fix it. So as you can see right here, it's a little more than half, just a little bit more than half. And now we're going to go into blending it. All right, so while it's blending, like I was saying, it's a demulcent. It has an affinity for pectoral affections. And what I mean by that is it can assist you with bronchitis, asthma. It can soothe the mucous membranes, which especially during the winter time tend to dry out, which is one of the reasons why people will get sore throats, will get cold, because the mucous membranes start to get a little brittle, a little dry. So they need something to moisten the area. And it can happen just from having the heat on. All of the dry, unnatural air can cause these issues along your GI tract. So that's one of the beautiful things about Seamoss, aside from its ability to prevent a virus from attaching to your cell. Many different properties as far as gastrointestinal, and the mucus soothing of the membrane is one of the main ones. So we're gonna keep on blending it, and this is where we're gonna make the thick gel. So not all sea moss, when it soaks, is going to swell up. This variety is quite slim. As you can see, it's a very skinny, curly cartilage. It's not the thicker ones, which we will have access to soon. That one is a very nice, very nice one. I'll do a video on that one as well, but this is the one that I have at the moment, which is still beautiful. Once you soak it overnight, the taste pretty much diminishes, and the texture is really nice. I have this literally every single day. I take 3 tablespoons a day. Sometimes I overdo it because it's as if your body starts craving it. So I do it at least 3 times a day. I usually just have my jar in the fridge, go in, take a scoop. But because of the consistency and the texture, a lot of people don't like to do that. And they add it to smoothies, which is fine because you will still get the properties that is meant to have with the sea moss. So as you can see here, this is a thinner version of the sea moss. Watch the pour. Yeah, this is still very nice. This is a little thinner one. Still a nice gel. And when you put it in the fridge, it's going to thicken up a little bit more. That's my first jar. Now I'm going to make another thicker version of Conjus crispus, curly cartilage, aka Irish moss. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. This is how I typically make it. And while we get into that, another thing that Conjus crispus is excellent for is if you have inflammation, arthritis, joint issues, and it's because of the viscous gelatinous property of the Conjus crispus. It's able to cushion your joints. Now your joints have what's known as synovial fluid. It is also viscous and semi-gelatinous. But the thing is, once you have so much acidic foods, acidic drinks, when you are not in movement, the body has to be in movement. Lack of movement, the synovial fluid that is part of your joints, it begins to get compromised. And then you lose that gelatinous texture. So what Conjus crispus is able to do is cushion the joints. And remember, if you are not a fan of drinking the sea moss straight up like I am, I do have Cell Fuel, which is another product on my website that has the Conjus crispus in there, all natural, 100% Conjus crispus, and I added other seaweeds in it so that you can get the appropriate minerals needed to just put the charge and the electricity back in your body. So now we are going to blend and juice this thing up so that you can see another texture. I let the blender go for about 30 seconds to 1 minute just to make sure that everything is blended up nice and goes extremely smooth. So now it's going to keep on going. Yeah, I go about 30 seconds to 1 minute. Now, remember all of the properties that it has. Even if you have, let's say that you are a mother that is not breastfeeding for whatever reason, what you want to do is make sure that you are giving that infant. And you can do this from, I would say, at least 6 months, maybe even earlier. You know what I mean? You can add sea moss to the child's formula. I don't support the formula because almost all of it has MSG, and most of them are dairy based, which will cause a lot of mucus, congestion, inflammation. It's going to cause that in the baby. So what you want to do is give this child Seamoss. So I had one woman who had an 8-month-old, and she had the baby was so mucus filled. You can hear the baby breathing, extremely congested. So I told her to add the Seamoss to the formula, and she told me within a week a lot of mucus started to come out of the baby and his breathing was a lot better. So it's excellent to do for that as well. Now we're about to pour in a much thicker version. You know what? Maybe you won't like it like this, but I love it a little bit thicker, but either texture, it doesn't matter. You can do it the thinner one or you can do it the thicker way. So this is exactly, yes, that's what it looks like. And also you can add the sea moss not only to smoothies or juice, you can also add it to pastas or soups. Or if you make rice while you're boiling the water, you can add a scoop of the gel into the rice. You can add this to everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.